Well, good morning, everyone. This morning we're going to be in the Word in 1 Corinthians chapter 9. We're going to be in verses 1 through 7. In chapter 8, Paul talked all about eating meat sacrificed to idols. And he basically said that as a believer, you have a right to eat meat that's sacrificed to idols, because an idol really is nothing more than a block of wood or a piece of metal or whatever. It's not really anything. But because there are some people who have weak consciences and might be offended, even though you have that right, for the sake of others, you may need to lay down those rights. And now in chapter 9, he's going to be talking about some other rights that he has specifically, and other leaders of the churches. He's going to be talking about what rights do, apostles and elders and pastors, what do they have when it comes to being supported by the ministry, right? But unfortunately, he first has to address some people in the church that are opposing him. See, there's people in the church that question his authority as an apostle, and they were accusing him of being weak, and even of being a false teacher. And they also accused him of using his ministry for personal gain. So in typical Paul style, he's going to lay out this defense, right? And he says this: "Am I not an apostle? Am I not free? Have I not seen Jesus Christ our Lord? Are you not my work in the Lord? If I am not an apostle to others, yet doubtless I am to you, for you are the seal of my apostleship in the Lord. My defense to those who examine me is this: do we have no right to eat and drink? Do we have no right to take along a believing wife, as do also the other apostles, the brothers of the Lord, and Cephas? Or is it only Barnabas and I who have no right to refrain from working? Whoever goes to war at his own expense, who plants a vineyard and does not eat of its fruit, or who tends a flock and does not eat or drink of the milk of the flock?" So Paul's laying down this defense, but he's not really being defensive. He doesn't make excuses, but he doesn't fire off a litany of, look at all these things I've done, or these are the things that I said. He shows humility here. He's asking them questions that are rooted in truth. And he does this because he knows it's the best way to win over somebody who's opposing him, like by asking questions that lead people to see what's already right there in front of them. And Paul asks, "Have I not seen Jesus Christ our Lord?" This was something that was well known. There were witnesses to his conversion. The Lord actually appeared to a man named Ananias and told him that he had chosen Paul, and then Ananias was going to baptize him. And Paul also asks, "Are you not my work in the Lord?" The evidence is there. There is a church in Corinth that he's addressing that the Lord used Paul to raise up. Paul's using these facts to reinforce the fact that his authority is valid, and he is in fact an apostle. Now, once he establishes this, he goes on in the same manner, asking them if he and Barnabas have the right to eat and drink, meaning that they have the right to draw material support from the church for the work that they're doing. He compares those who labor for the Lord to those who are soldiers, to those who are farmers, and those who are shepherds. See, a soldier is supported by the government that he serves, and a farmer eats of his own crops, and a shepherd eats from the flock that he tends. Why would a servant of the Lord not be provided for by the people he ministers to? This is the case Paul lays out, and honestly, there's really no argument against this. An elder, a pastor, a missionary, an evangelist, or anyone who serves the Lord by serving the church full time has a right to draw support from that church. But here's the interesting thing about Paul and his friend and fellow laborer Barnabas. Unlike most of the other apostles and the elders, they actually worked to earn their own living. Paul was a tent maker. He willingly forfeited this right so that no one could accuse him of taking advantage of the flock. He cared so much about the church that he didn't want to do anything that would offend even one person. And this truly shows us that Paul had the right heart. Even though he has the right to financial support, he refused that right for the sake of the flock. This is not to say that all people in full-time ministry should be like Paul. Paul clearly teaches that they're allowed to, and for most of them, God has put them in a position, and it was his will for them to actually be supported by the church. But then there are some, like Paul, who will feel led to draw support from other means, and that's honorable as well. What Paul is teaching us here gives us a picture of what a true servant of God looks like, whether or not they take money for their service. True shepherds and leaders serve the flock. They are humble and they give credit to the Lord, and they are not greedy. Today we see many so-called pastors and apostles, prophets, and even influencers, which is what I call a new office created by man, then they're really wolves. They don't serve the church. They take from the church. They're nothing at all like Paul. They aren't humble. They don't have a servant heart, and their favorite words are probably I or me. See, we need to be discerning. We can usually tell these wolves by the fruit that they bear. If a false teacher is called out, they'll often go on the offensive, and they might even badmouth the people that are calling them out. See, Paul never badmouthed anyone, not even those who were opposed to him and accusing him of being a false teacher. But most importantly, we need to fully support our pastors, our elders, and our leaders. They labor hard for us, and they deserve to be honored and taken care of. There is no room for us to be making false accusations against them, which is divisive. They need our support, not just financially, but they also need our prayers, and they need us to come alongside them and be co-laborers as well. True believers are not just consumers. We are providers as well. Now, I hope this message has been a blessing for you today, and I hope you have a great day. And Lord willing, we'll see you soon. Love you guys.